When I decided to make a video defending Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, that was actually something that was in my mind for a few days now, and I actually had it pre-recorded and just happened to release the same day that Detective Pikachu's first trailer would be shown. I can't believe it. I honestly, I am completely shocked in all the right ways. And, I remember hearing about this movie becoming a thing and that was going to happen. But I guess I didn't really think about too much about the fact that this was going to be the first live action Pokemon movie, and it was going to be about this premise of Detective Pikachu, rather than being a remake of the tales of Ash or Red. They could have done the story from the anime, they could have done the story of Red from the manga. And that's kind of what the games are more based on, or at least the manga is more close to the games. It's a different take on it. Of course, there is manga based on Ash and Misty and their adventures as well. But what really is exciting about this movie is, for one, Pikachu talks in it, and I know a lot of people. There's a lot of naysayers when it comes to this movie. A lot of people have complaints about this movie. The fact that Pikachu talks, even though it's not a talking Pikachu, he only talks to one human, which I think is necessary. If Pikachu just think about in the anime, Ash hangs out with Misty and Brock a lot, and that's because he can't really just sit and talk to Pikachu all day. In this movie, it's really about the bond and relationship between a trainer and his Pokemon. This being, I don't know what this character's name is yet, but the protagonist and his Pokemon Pikachu on their adventure. And I do like that it looks like he hangs out with a side character, and this girl's side character has red hair and owns a Psyduck. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be Misty. I really don't think it is. I think they're just trying to take advantage of the fact that Psyduck is such a great Pokemon, and they're just like, let's just make Psyduck important and make it for this girl's Pokemon. So while this main character has Pikachu, the side character has Psyduck. And while I do get annoyed with the trope of like the cool girlfriend who becomes his girlfriend or something, which we all know, it's like, I don't want to see like in the trailer right away like, oh, that's the girl he's gonna maybe be his girlfriend at the end of the movie. It's like, I don't care. To me, I feel like the whole point of the movie should just be about the main character and his relationship with Pikachu. But it is cool just to see that they're doing this like male trainer with Pikachu, female trainer with Psyduck, that kind of Ash Misty vibe. I like that. It's like paying tribute to the original anime while not, completely copying it, and they're still doing their own thing, which I think is a lot more interesting for them to do. In fact, I think it's a bold move, because I think the safe choice would be to just do the anime, and I think that's what some people are wanting. I think some people don't like the way the Pokemon look, some people don't like the way the Pokemon act in this. I'm not exactly sure why they went with this approach. The art style straight up looks like it's like inspired by DeviantArt and 4chan posts and like those weird art posts you'd see online, back in the day, where they tried to make cartoon characters look hyper realistic, and it just doesn't look right. But here we have it. Like, here we have this like weird, scruffy looking furry Pikachu, and a lot of people think Pikachu, they think of like this perfect creature with like really really short hair. I guess it would be like completely perfectly soft. They kind of made this more fluffier Pikachu that kind of reminds me more of like a bunny. And I think some people are like, oh, but Pikachu's like supposed to be a mouse. He's supposed to have short hair like a mouse. And I'm like, yeah, but he's not mouse size. He's pretty big. And a lot of the Pokemon are like a cross between two different things. Not all of them are just one thing straight up. So Pikachu is not really like a mouse Pokemon. Like, he's supposed to be a mouse. Like, he's a mouse type Pokemon, but he's like a big mouse, okay? So that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, he's not proportionate to a mouse. Obviously, they come in different sizes and shapes, but, we've mostly seen, like, this kind of style Pikachu. I think Pikachu looks really good. He looks not anime at all. And to me, I'm like, I think that's a good thing, that they really differentiate the anime worlds and this new live action world. This is nothing like the games. This is nothing like the anime. This is like its own new thing. In fact, I really feel like this is like if Pokemon Go was in real life, because what the fun thing about playing Pokemon Go was that I felt like there was Pokemon in our world versus feeling like I'm a trainer, like a Pokemon trainer in the Pokemon world. Being a Pokemon trainer in the Pokemon world is very different from being a person with a job in the real world who happens to have Pokemon. Like when I was a little kid, I would try to imagine what it would be like to just walk around at home, not going on adventures, and what it would be like having Pokemon. Would I have like a Growlithe as like a dog? You know, like what would it be like? You know, you could probably have a lot more options for pets. You know, a lot of people have like turtles as pets. You know, a Squirtle would be a lot more exciting pet than a just a fucking turtle. And I've always said like something about Pikachu I like is that he could like shock people, and I feel like that's more fun than like I feel like burning people is like a little too dangerous. I feel like if you were a kid, there's no. I feel like if you were a child or young adult or anything, I feel like you'd have to have like a permit, a special permit to train any fire type Pokemon. I don't think you'd be allowed to just like own fire type Pokemon because that's way too fucking dangerous. Even if it's like a baby one, like it'd be like if you see a little Charmander, out there in the woods, you need to be calm and be careful. It will fucking burn you, like there's no way you'd be allowed to like own fire Pokemon unless you have like a special permit. And then when it comes to like Squirtle with water powers or Bulbasaur with leaf powers, Bulbasaur can like literally whip you and throw razor sharp leaves at you, so that could fucking hurt. But I try to pretend like leaves hurting you in the real world. I don't see how that would hurt. I feel like Bulbasaur would just be like annoying. He'd be like an annoying pet, and then Squirtle would just like. Could be convenient with his water powers, but at the same time, I don't know if I'd want to use water that's coming out of an animal. Like, that just sounds gross to me. Whereas, like, Pikachu and, like, shocking stuff could be so useful. Imagine, your electricity goes out, you go to the generator, you say, Pikachu, zap that real quick, lots of useful stuff like that. Pikachu touched my phone, gave it some battery power. I don't know if that's exactly how it would work. But, like stuff like that could be really cool. And then, of course, if someone's trying to rob you, Pikachu, shock this motherfucker. So, I would love having... But, of course, if it's like the anime where Pikachu shocks Ash, that would suck. So why am I going on this tangent about owning a Pokemon in the real world and how I thought about owning Pokemon as a kid? And that's really why, because like there is no the anime doesn't really do it in the anime. It's not like the real world. The Pokemon in the anime, in the world set up in the games, everything about the Pokemon world that we know of is not really like being in the real world. It's just totally different, we don't, in the real world you don't. It's not like every single town is dedicated to like one specific thing, like it's not like if you would like I'm sure there would be like Pokemon centers and like Pokemon marts and stuff like that in towns, but like the idea of like walking all throughout a state, we'll say, and they'll have like all these different gyms and stuff like that, and like the states would be your regions. I don't think that would be realistic. I don't think anyone would ever do that in the real world, especially if this was like designed in a way where kids could be champions and stuff. There's no way. There's just no way. It's hard to relate to. It's really fun in a game, and I love that sense in the game of like being like this master trainer. That's definitely cool. But what I like about Detective Pikachu is it's not really about catching them all. In fact, that's just not the premise at all. They've completely dodged that premise. This is why it's based on the worldwide phenomenon, not that this is the worldwide phenomenon. Like this isn't the whole catch 'em all thing. That's still cool in Pokemon. That's still a thing, and that's a cool part about it. But that's not what it's about. This is about the characters from that universe going on an adventure together. And this is why you get to see stuff like Pikachu, Jigglypuff, Psyduck, Charizard. There was a Charmander as well in part of in one of the scenes. Greninja was in it, and we gotta talk about Greninja for a second. Greninja is in Smash. Ash Greninja is a thing where Ash fuses with Greninja. Greninja is a popular mainstream Pokemon, and all the people who are in the Smash community saying like, oh, why, Greninja, blah, who cares about Greninja? Greninja's gonna be a thing of the past. Greninja's here to stay. That's a Pokemon who has staying power. He's going to be in this movie, and that cements him. He's he's officially at like main important Pokemon status. Greninja is a thing now. And the fact that there was so many Greninja in the movie, it looks like he might even be like an antagonist character. We also got to see Mr. Mime in one of the scenes. Pikachu was interrogating Mr. Mime. And what I love about it is that your sense of disbelief is like it's a crazy feeling because it's like you have to remember like this isn't the real world. This is the Pokemon world. So like Mr. Mime having psychic abilities, yeah, that's a thing. You don't want to fuck with Mr. Mime. Like a lot of characters are going to have weird abilities. They're going to be kind of hard to explain and hard to show off in the movie world. And it looked like there was a Pokemon battle though going on with Charizard. Maybe Charizard will be fighting Pikachu. To me, that's a really interesting concept. And that's something that I could really get behind. So I am very excited for stuff like this. And this movie just looks like a fun ride. It looks like something that Pokemon fans could get behind. But I'm seeing a lot of pushback from people who are like, this isn't Pokemon. This isn't what I want at a Pokemon movie. They look gross. They don't look right. They do look gross. I think they're supposed to look gross on purpose, though. You know, they all look weird and like overly furry and they have like weird textures. But the thing is, I would rather it look like that than if they had... If I wouldn't want them to be literally the game models in the movies. If Pikachu looked like a CGI anime Pikachu, then it's like, I don't even know what that would be like, you know? But instead, they went with this like really furry creature who... they still have a lot of anime inspiration. They're literally the anime designs, same colors and everything, but with like textures from the real world. I think that's part of what's throwing people off is Pikachu looks like a realistic creature, a realistic monster, but because his hair is still that bright yellow, I think it looks really weird for the human eye. So I think that I think that is part of it, but I just want to say, to me, I actually really like the look of it. I really like how they look. The thing is, I've already gotten used to it, and I've already noticed like all these funny facial reactions from Pikachu people are posting online as memes. And I'm like, I already like the art style. I already like the art direction. There's some specific frames and scenes where Pikachu looks quite ugly. And there's other scenes where he looks kind of cool and kind of adorable. And I'm like, yeah, I think this movie does it well in both senses. He looks a little mangy, but like, you know, he is supposed to be like a mouse or a rat or something. Like, and he is like a bunny. So like, this is like a rodent creature. And what do I think about the idea that Ryan Reynolds is voicing Pikachu? Well, I was all aboard the Danny DeVito train. I would have totally been fine with Danny DeVito. I think that would have been fucking hilarious. It probably would have been the only thing better than Ryan Reynolds. But because Nintendo probably doesn't want to go in that direction, even though that would be the best direction, we're going to go with Ryan Reynolds. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh... I'm not going to relate this to Deadpool, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say, he was so good at Deadpool, therefore Pikachu, blah, blah, blah. No. Okay, no. I liked Ryan Reynolds before Deadpool, but I was never, like, an enormous fan. But he was very good in Van Wilder. He was very good in Waiting. I've seen him in he does weird romantic comedy movies here and there. And sometimes he has like cameo roles and stuff like that. And every time I see Ryan Reynolds, I usually enjoy him. I, of course, didn't like him in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but who the fuck did? I think that he was probably one of the better parts of Green Lantern. A lot of people hate that movie and slam it really hard. I actually think Green Lantern's better than Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. I think I've seen Green Lantern. It reminds me of like a bad Marvel origin movie. Like, it reminds me of like I've seen bad superhero movies before. I've seen X-Men 3. I think Green Lantern's better than X-Men 3. I've seen, bad superhero movies besides just DC movies, okay? Green Lantern is really nothing compared to some of those really bad DC movies. And I mean, some people might think, like, that's such an insult, but, like, really, Green Lantern's not the worst of the worst. Like, there are far worse superhero movies. And they're all made by DC, but there's some by Sony and some by Fox as well. I mean, I don't even want to talk about Fantastic Four. Holy crap, are those movies bad. Anyway, Green Lantern I'd say Green Lantern's probably about as good as the first Fantastic Four. But Ryan Reynolds I've always liked the guy, and I honestly, even though I did enjoy both Deadpool 1 and 2, and I think that they actually captured the spirit of Deadpool well. I think Deadpool 2 did amazing justice to Cable, amazing justice to Juggernaut, and once again, it never fails to do Colossus correctly. And it does so, I love, and most importantly, it does justice to Deadpool. So the Deadpool movies are fantastic, but they're not my favorite superhero movies by any means. In fact, not even by a long shot. I just think they're good superhero movies. But there's so many superhero movies that doesn't even say much. Especially if I like more than like 5, which I do. I like a lot of superhero movies. But I will say that it definitely is going to help. It's definitely going to get people to want to see it, knowing that Pikachu is the voice of Deadpool. A lot of people are going to be in it just for that. So I think it's a smart move by Warner Brothers and Nintendo to do that. And while, like I said, it doesn't really affect the way I view the movie, I am someone who tries to give every actor a chance. I try not to hate on a movie just because of an actor they chose. Ryan Reynolds is fine, in my opinion, and I think when I see him and I see Pikachu talk as him, I already like it. I already think it's good. So I really don't even see Ryan Reynolds. I don't hear really Ryan Reynolds. I have to keep reminding myself it's Ryan Reynolds. I know other people are going to be like, that's Deadpool, that's Deadpool, that's Deadpool. I know people are going to be like that. So that's up to you if that bothers you or not. But for me, that's definitely not a problem. And I think most people won't be bothered by it. I think most people are going to like it more because of it. But yeah. But I will say that the idea that only the kid can hear him is kind of a weird premise. It reminds me of like the Wild Thornberries or something, and I don't know why they would go for that. I feel like just a talking Pikachu would be better, like how Meowth was a talking Meowth. And some people say, "Oh, Pokemon don't talk." Well, yeah, well, Meowth talked. Some Pokemon can talk sometimes, like it's a thing. Like that can happen sometimes. It's never really explored in the games ever. In the games, that never happens. Of course, I think in one of the anime Pokemon movies, Pikachu said something to Ash. Like he said, "I love you" to Ash or something like that. But I will say that I do love that when the other people are talking to Pikachu in the trailer, it sounds like the actual Pikachu anime voice. Which is, the same woman who's always done the voice. She still is providing those Pikachu voices and stuff like that. I love it. They're not going with, like, Game Boy sounds, or, like, any, like, animal sounds, wild animal sounds. That's what the games normally do. The games don't make them say their names repeated over and over and over. That's definitely an anime thing. But I'm glad that they're taking out different elements from the anime, different elements from the games. And that's why it's very important, like what I'm trying to say to people. This new look is good because it distinguishes that this world is not the game world. This world is not the anime world. This world's not the manga world. This world is like the real world with Pokemon in it. And it's also like its own new thing. It's a grittier take on Pokemon that I think it's a genius move. And whoever decided it, and I can tell, the fact that Psyduck is in it and stuff like that. And the fact that Jigglypuff has a little marker that with the green microphone on top. That's straight from the anime. People don't always think about this. People actually make jokes about this. How in Smash Bros, people always make jokes about, like, remember how Jigglypuff was a thing, and now people like don't know why Jigglypuff is even in Smash Bros because she doesn't have the staying power. She never stayed relevant in the Pokemon games, but she was popular in the anime at the time, the Smash Bros 64. Therefore, Jigglypuff is in every Smash Bros game, and it's like, yeah, but this movie's remembering. Like, this movie showed like this movie had like the entire cast of Pokemon besides Pichu and Mewtwo. It had like all the Smash. Oh, and Lucario wasn't in it, but he might be. It had like almost all the Smash Bros characters that are Pokemon in this movie, and Jigglypuff's one of them. And Jigglypuff had the microphone. This is really good attention to detail to the source material. And the thing is, nowadays, you can tell a lot of people in this industry probably watched the Pokemon anime growing up. If they didn't, they went back and watched it now before they made the movie as source material. And they're paying a lot of attention to the source material, and they're doing a good tribute to the source material. These are things you want to see in a movie about something like this. And the thing is, I don't think Nintendo would want to risk doing a live-action movie, especially after the Mario Brothers fiasco. And most people, Nintendo kind of tries to pretend that movie never happened nowadays. And they're finally coming back to Hollywood. And if this does well versus how the Mario Brothers did, that's when we're gonna start seeing Zelda movie. And I'm almost positive the Zelda anime is going to happen. It's going to be made by the Castlevania team. Good. I want Zelda. Like, don't get me wrong. I like the Mario Brothers movie, but for all the wrong reasons. That movie is a terrible representation of Mario, and it's so oozing with 90s bullshit. And that's one of the main flaws of that movie, was that we didn't know how bad we were in the 90s. And I mean, like, again, you can go back in and try to enjoy it, but even if you try to enjoy it for it being cringy, it's still like, this is not Mario. Like, you know this isn't Mario. And there could be a lot better ways to interpret Mario in the Mushroom Kingdom, in the Mario world. Even if you're trying to make it a gritty, like, real life version, like how they're doing with the Pokemon movie, there's better ways to do it than what they did with the Mario movie. So what I'm thinking is, if this Pokemon movie goes well, not only could we get a sequel to the Pokemon movie, but that's when we could get a fucking either a new Mario movie, or a Zelda movie, or a Metroid movie. Jesus Christ! Oh my god, I want a Metroid movie so fucking bad. Every time I watch Iron Man, it makes me like think about Samus and her armor. And not every time, obviously, but like when I picture Samus in the real world, I normally picture effects similar to what they do with the Iron Man movies. Man, would a Metroid movie be so fucking good? Jesus Christ, that would be so fucking awesome. Especially since a lot of people who play Smash don't even play Metroid. And so when they see these characters, they don't know the story of Samus, why her rival is Ridley. Ridley's like this big monster, and he's also like a bounty hunter pirate guy. And people like don't understand what the fuck is up with a space pirate that looks like a pterodactyl. And it's like, maybe these movies could shed some light on it and be a super fun, while also being like dark and horrific at the same time. You know, and this kind of CGI movie with like, you know, with real, you know, human live action actors at the same time, this would be perfect for something like Metroid. Oh my god. And they could easily, oh my god, it writes itself, you know, it writes itself. So there's so many Nintendo IPs that would be perfect for a movie. And, you know, I'm so glad, you know, I think Pokemon Go was the first Nintendo game on mobile? No, I'm wrong. Miitomo happened first. That's for sure. But it is kind of fun how, like, was there something before Miitomo? No, I think Miitomo was the first one. But of course now we have like Mario Run and everything else, you know, and the Fire Emblem, of course. So like, Nintendo is branching out. They're trying to adapt. They're trying to evolve, and they're also trying to, you know, be innovative. I think it's really cool that they're doing a Pikachu movie that's based on Detective Pikachu and not a remake of the anime telling the story of Ash, and not trying to make this movie take place in the game world, not trying to make this movie take place in, like, you know, this is like a real life world that we could relate to. Like, if we were in the real world, which we are, but if Pokemon existed in the real world we live in, what would it be like? And that's what is cool about Pokemon, is that a lot of us already made this imagination when we were kids already. So when we're doing it in this movie, it's going to give us more to relate to, more for us to imagine, and more for us to think about. And that's what makes it so good. That's what makes Pokemon so awesome. So I feel like this, while there's a lot of naysayers for this movie, I think that there's so many good aspects about it. And I just applaud the direction they're going to. I think it's fucking genius. I'm going to keep up with this movie. I can't believe how excited I am for this movie, and I think it's because I'm really not even that excited for Captain Marvel, mainly because it's going to be like an origin story, and we're all going to be watching it thinking like, okay, when does this get to Avengers 4? We all just want to see Captain Marvel, only to see how she fits into Avengers 4. We just want to see how she fits into Avengers 4. That's pretty much all we want. So, you know, I am excited about Avengers 4, don't get me wrong. And Star Wars Episode 9 is next year. Come on, that's great. But Pikachu is going to come out in May. And that's probably what I'm most excited for, like, next. You know, especially because I think there's not that many more movies to give a shit about this year. So, very excited. Very excited about Detective Pikachu. I can't wait. I really can't wait, man. It's gonna be great. So I know a lot of people are saying that he looks ugly and blah 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 blah. I just want to say that I just don't care about those opinions, and I just hope people can give it a chance and judge it for how it is. If you want this movie to just be something else or just to not exist, like there shouldn't be a live action Pokemon, if you think that's blasphemy, um, I just don't care because this is something that really appeals to me. And I know sometimes I get on my high horse about like something like this shouldn't exist, blah blah blah. I say that all the time. Like I that's how I feel about the live action Disney movies, for example. I don't think things are better just because they're live action. I actually think that things are better when they're animated and CGI. You know, I'd rather have a full animated movie than have like the Beauty and the Beast live action movie. And I don't think that any of the Disney live action movies will ever be better than the cartoon versions. But what I like about Detective Pikachu is that because it's doing its own thing, I can't just sit here and say, well, the animated Mulan is better than the real life Mulan. I can't say it with Detective Pikachu. I can't say, oh well, the first movie where Ash defeats Mewtwo is, well, I know he doesn't actually defeat him, but where Ash fights Mewtwo is better than this movie with Detective Pikachu. No, because it's so different. It's complete. It's doing such a it's weird. This weird own take. This brand new take on Pokemon that is so creative and interesting that it's like I can't help but love it. And that's why when people are like they don't like the way it looks, dude, I think it's genius to help separate this from the original world. So I don't know why people are being naysayers. If people saying it looks ugly, I feel like they want it to look ugly on purpose. People are already making memes from the trailers, and I think that's what they want. They want people to be able to do that stuff. Trust me, like Hollywood people are very smart. So this is what they want. They want controversy and buzz. That's always a good thing when it comes to movies. And I think that, well, maybe it's not always a good thing if we're talking about an all-female reboot like Ghostbusters. But for the most part, I think this is going to be good. I think this movie is going to do well. So let's see it. Let's see Pokemon in live action. Let's see Pikachu played by Ryan Reynolds. Cannot wait. And I'm going to be thinking about it while I'm playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. I'm so glad I got the Pikachu version now. Like, yes, I'm so happy. So, cannot wait. So, I will catch you guys on the flip side. See you next time.